My name is Ingunn Miklegard. I work together with Laila in Oslo in the, what we call it, the NAV,
the
Directorate for Employment in Oslo. Well, we was talking about, it's a question for Tobias in Germany. We was talking about your this platform you have developed, and we are more curious about how can you make it alive for keeping the interesting going on, and actually how did you start to develop it, and how do you moderate it? Yeah, that was my question.
Thank you. Is the question clear? It was, I think, 2 questions, but Tobias, you can raise.
So, for first, this platform is online since the beginning of the year. So we have around about 200 examples, and all are coming bottom up. This platform has no incentives. There are some interaction possibilities, so it's possible to ask questions under an example, under some other people are answering, and so we have a dynamic process in the organization to such examples who are published. What we are doing, we have also awards in Germany. In the past, people have to apply for an award, and we want to change the system. We want to nominate candidates who work on practice and who has published an example on this platform. So you have no access, you cannot win an award if you have not published your example on our platform. So this is a little incentive, but I think the most important thing is the possibility of dynamic communication on the platform, and to ask, to get answers, for exchange.
Thank you. Then we go to this table.
Yeah.
Do you have a question to ask?
We have a question.
One question?
We have several, but you asked our first question. So we would like to ask you to elaborate this thing about the idea contest. What kind of ideas do you ask for? What kind of ideas do you get, and how do you evaluate them? Yeah.
Okay, that's Austria.
And you, maybe we can just know who you are.
Oh, sorry. I'm Søren from the Danish Press.
Thank you.
Okay. So this platform of ideas I had tried to elaborate a bit is whenever somebody has an idea, but the critical thing, there's two big let's say rules. First, the idea must not be part of your daily work, because in your daily environment, work environment, you are supposed to propose ideas anyway. So it must concern another. Yeah, it must concern another area. So that's critical. And the second one, it must not be an idea is related to IT, because it's too complex and there's too many issues with the IT and so. But to give you an example, we have 2 levels of remuneration attached to it. So an idea is introduced in the system and is directly sent for approval or for screening to your superior, to your direct superior, and he has to take on the responsibility to manage this idea, to elevate. And he can of course go to his direct superiors and then discuss it further in a kind of a committee whether it can be then awarded for this award show or not. But there is, as I said, a remuneration to it attached. So the first category is whether it's awarded the prize, then you get a remuneration, so whether it is implemented you get a remuneration, and then there is a dimension whether it has calculable cost-saving options for the institution, which is of course the most difficult to measure. But to give you one concrete example, so the best ideas are, in my opinion, always the most obvious and most simple ones. Yeah? When we got a new IT, so every like 10 years you get a new IT infrastructure. Yeah? So we got these new computers. And we are about 6,000 employees, so I guess it's very similar, 6,000 computers, let's say. Yeah? And a colleague of us, he introduced the idea of cost savings because of the new screens that we had. Because the original setting of the screen, energy saving option of the screen was, I think, 1 hour. And then he said, okay, 1 hour, and then the screen switches off automatically. Yeah? And then he said, why don't we limit it to 10 minutes? Because that's not much for one screen, but for 6,000 screens in a whole institution, we have an actual cost-saving effect of XYZ euros. And this was then remunerated and calculated based on this energy-saving cost option. Yeah. Many other ideas were attached to this to the 2015 situation of refugees, because we were suddenly confronted with a lot of refugees and asylum seekers coming into our offices. Language training, identification of skills, for example, that's for people with a migrant background. These were many ideas that were issued, for example.
Thank you, Julia. And then from this table, did you have a question to ask? Please say your name and where you come from first. Thank you.
My name is Hristo Yordanov. I'm from National Employment Agency in Bulgaria. Actually, we have identified 3 good practices. The social network for employees, the project database, and award categories. In Germany, in Austria, sorry. And our main question is about the award categories. We have also a categorization in our countries, and we have awards to our local labor offices too. But in your awards, is there any award for the local labor offices? What are the awards of your local labor offices, if you have one? And is it concerning with their budget, their amount of their budget? They have, for example, for active labor market policies. Is it clear?
So we have, I don't know whether you can put the slide back on the screen, maybe then you can have it very good. So yes, so as I said, the performance is measured through the balanced scorecard indicators. Last one.
This one?
No, that's the first one. So
The
either direction.
last one.
And we have here exactly. No, sorry, exactly. The first, so the best 3 local offices. This is the overall balanced scorecard, so the performance indicators, performance measurement, and then the best local office in each federal state. These are the two ones at local level. As I said, we have 104 local levels. What I need to add here is that every employee gets a bonus at the end of the year, and this bonus is linked to the performance of the office. So this is the remuneration office, but there is no special bonus than whether somebody has been awarded for this category. However, it's a big event, and I think it's for motivational wise and for the employees, it's a nice practice, and it's not attached also to the financial situation of an office, because we think, I mean, if the money is required for an active labor market policy, then it should not be linked to an award or a performance to this.
Thank you. Then we can go to this group. Do you have a question that is not already asked? Maybe. And a question from you? Name and number. No, name and number. Name and place. Sorry.
My name is.
Come on, Christer. My name is Christer, and I'm with the Swedish Press, and I'm the head of our staff training and learning unit. And we were discussing at my table the bonus and award system as well. And we think it's very easy to see why you have it, but have you experienced ever any backsides to it? Any downsides?
Good question.
Not concretely to the back. Maybe you can link it back. Of course, everybody likes to receive a bonus in terms of the money. I think that the back, or not the backside, but the challenge of performance indicators is that you do something, or you try out, or you pilot something, or you adjust something, because it has an effect on this overall performance indicator scoreboard. And on the other side, you maybe avoid doing something even if you believe that it could be a good decision, but if there is a risk that it has a negative input on your performance, then maybe you're not doing it then, because you are afraid that you're losing the points in the overall score of this. So this is, I think, one of the downsides, that you make yourself a bit dependent on the performance indicators, and you risk of losing a bit the quality side because you look too much on the quantitative aspects of such a system.
Can I just, do you, Tobias, have something to add related to the same kind of question?
Not really, because our awards are a parallelism to the organizations. There's no backlink to monetary or to budget or something like this. It's very a symbol of gratefulness. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Thank you. So, do you have a question to the group?
Most of the questions have been asked.
Yes, that's very often the case.
Okay, Siim Sarapuu from Estonian Press. One question was that about this idea bank, so to say. How do you manage it systematically? And also we had a question that if you have 3 levels, this federal level and regional and local level, okay, the idea goes to the straight manager, but is it all? For example, if I'm employee and I have an idea that let's keep our offices opened till 8 o'clock in the evening, so that the working persons can also come to have a career counseling. But my superior cannot decide it. Is it a good idea? How do I manage the system of these ideas? And if an organization have like 5,000, 7,000 employees, you have hundreds of them, or maybe you don't have so much ideas.
Okay, so all in all, it's maybe if you could go back one slide, then it's. So all in all, it's an IT-based tool where you can database, with a system beneath where you can look. When you have an idea, you first have to look, or you should look, basically, whether this idea has already been proposed. And then, as I said, you have an idea, you introduce it into the system, it goes to your line manager, and he can talk to you, he can further explanations and so on, but he has to judge. And if he says, okay, I think that's a good idea, let's implement this. It depends a bit on the level of idea, as you say. Whether he can directly implement it because it's in his area, or he can transport it further to his superior line manager, and then often they go to the board of directors. Also because when they are awarded awarded as best practice, there needs to be a decision body who does it, which is a kind of a steering committee who evaluates those ideas that are implemented. I noted here one figure right in the middle where I said boost the ratio of ideas. So that's the idea behind the goal, the tool. And the goal was that we have 0.5 ideas per employee per year. Actually, we have 0.15, and the top performers in Austria, because there is a network of a network of institutions and firms, enterprises that use these kind of tools, are 6 per employee. So I'm not so sure whether this, sticking to a number is the correct tool, because then you kind of, you do ideas because you want to have ideas and not you want to have the positive effect. One of the explanations I asked my colleague why we are a bit lacking behind with 0.15 and not achieving the 0.5 is because we are not we excluded the ITers, and there are many employees would have good ideas, but as I said, it was excluded because it's very difficult. We have many transforming processes and so on, and that's maybe the explanation to it. Yeah. But again, I think it's a nice tool, but it should not be used inflationary. That people are introducing ideas because of introducing it and not because of really having.
Just one thing. Who is the steering committee who evaluates the ideas?
That's the management, actually. The management that is concerned with this. And then it goes up to the, as I said, to the board of directors and to have a look at it.
Thank you. Then we have had the round. Each group have had one question, and the time is almost...
it's okay, but
it's
we
okay.
should take a picture.
So, yes, but if you have time, I would like... Is there someone who is sitting on a burning question that is needed to be answered now?
Hi, I'm Kjersti from Oslo. I have some colleagues here. This is a question to you, Tobias, about changing culture and working bottom up, as my impression is that you do. Can you tell me more about the process, the implementation of this, and another thing, this quality of the swarm intelligence in your platform, how this works? I know it's two big questions, but they are connected. I would like to know more about that, please.
Okay.
2 in 1, but you can make emphasis on what you want.
So for the first, this process of cultural change is based on the strategy 2025. So we have an issue with higher level management and is supporting there. So the process, there are a process. There are no milestones or something like this. The management said, if we want a cultural change, we give time to grow. And the only thing who's steered is that we have many formats where people come together and are making ideas how they can transport this topic in their local agency, in their teams, in their regions. So at the end, there are people in the room who are willing to change culture, and this won't be greater and greater and greater, and this is the process. So there are no structural process. It's the first time in Germany we haven't any process, any milestones, any time or to reach something. There are nothing, and this very the only thing is time to grow. The first, the second. Swarm intelligence. So we have an interaction rate on our platform. One person is writing something, 10 give an answer. It's okay. It's not. It's could be more, that you see the different perspectives in the answers. So I think the swarm intelligence is a big word, but at the end we see at the moment that ideas or operative practice will develop by himself on the discussion on this platform, and this is for me a very important point of view, that this principle will go right. But swarm intelligence, to make everything about this topic, I think it's not possible for us in Germany, because there are too many perspectives, too many peoples, and at the end the responsibility for the topics and the management.
Thank you very much, Tobias.
Now we are finished with this learning process. So now you have an experience on how this worked. And of course, this is a starting point. And I would encourage you to continue to share and learn from each other throughout these 2 days. But it's a first contact. And myself, I will really make contact with both Tobias and Julian afterwards to learn more about your good example, because you really have inspired. And also you have heard from the questions from the participants that it's really interesting, and some challenges that we all face in our work to structure this work.
So, thank you so much. We are very